Captain's Log, Stardate 218.238.06. I've arrived on Dead Rock Station in the hopes of finding some information about where the raiders are that I'm looking for. Unfortunately, the one man who seems to know more about the raiders than anyone is lost in the Edolium mine, which is not far from this settlement. There seems to be some kind of trouble in the mine, and the dockmaster here didn't exactly know what. And so the first thing I'm going to have to do is head to the cantina in the entertainment module and see if I can figure out what's going on in the mine and prepare myself for what is to come. It seems like every time I swear one of these iron vows, it just leads to me swearing more. Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock and this is Starforged Alpha Cluster. We are with our character Krista, also known as Jackpot. And in our last episode, Krista was attacked by a mysterious mugger who went after her with a metal pipe, and he dropped the pipe in the combat, and she picked it up, and she hit him with it and knocked him out. And then after that, she called the security guard who took this man away, and probably to the brig, although given that, from what we know, although Krista doesn't know it, from what we know, the guy who attacked her was actually under instructions from Administrator Blackstone. Krista suspects that Administrator Blackstone may be up to no good, but doesn't know it for sure. Once the guy was taken away, she started trying to find out from the nav charts of the navigation console that she had been able to activate the previous session where the raider base is. Where are they holed up? What system are they in? Because she's got to try to get this artifact back for her friend, which is the iron vow we swore to get the bond with our connection, Zephyr. However, while she was checking it, she accidentally activated the comm system and the transponder. And somebody at the raider base picked up and got on the view screen, and he saw her face, and he registered the transponder, and he knew that this Stinger, which he called Stinger 02, was now in the hands of somebody else and not the raiders, which put them on alert. So when she tries to get to the raider base, she's going to have a harder time of it. We're nowhere near that yet, so I'm not going to figure out exactly what that means. She then told Zephyr what was going on. We did a face danger to see, is she going to figure out that the administrator is actually working against her? She thinks that he may be undermining her, but she doesn't know exactly why. Anyway, she decided I still need to figure out where these raiders are, and I don't know where they are. So I'm going to go to Dead Rock, which is the place that's being plagued by the raiders, and see if they know anything more. And so she set a course and went through the drift and ended up at Dead Rock, which is a piece of an Exodus Titan ship, the Kronos, that was placed into a mountain range here on this volcanic world, and it's being used as a center of mining. There's also entertainment here. So she registered her ship with the dockmaster, sort of the air traffic controller guy. And the dockmaster, she asked him if he knows anything about the raiders. And what he tells her is, look, most people here don't know much about the raiders, but we do have this guy who's like our patrol officer and kind of a scout named Brennan, who would know a lot about the raiders, because he's been tracking them and trying to find them and stuff. But the problem is he's kind of the fixer around the colony, and there was trouble in the mine, and he's missing, and he's been missing for 5 days. So Krista swore an iron vow to go and rescue him, because she needs his information to get to her first step of finding out where the raiders are in the iron vow that she swore to get the relic back. So now she's got another iron vow. So she's first got to figure out what the trouble is in the mine, because the dockmaster didn't know. So the first step that she's going to take, and we also have to try to remember to repair her multi-scanner, which is still broken, from the last delve she did, the last journey she undertook, whatever expedition. Sorry, I'm going to be using Iron Sworn terminology probably for many episodes until I get used to Starforged. So she needs information on what the trouble is in the mine, because the dockmaster didn't know. So I've created sort of a map here. We're not going to really use it to travel to the mine. Um, so in terms of the quest, right, the way this works is you're not supposed to use an expedition as the entire quest, right? You're just supposed to use it as one of the waypoints on the quest. I don't know how that works with like an epic quest, because you got to do 40 ticks or something to finish it. And I've never done anything more than formidable in either Ironsworn or this game. And so far we're sticking with dangerous because she's a new character and we don't have any of her assets upgraded and so on. And I just don't want to make it impossible. Plus, I don't necessarily want a single quest to take 12 or 15 sessions. At least not yet. Maybe when we get further along, we can. So we know she's got to find out what the trouble is in the mine. Then she's got to get to the mine, which I think she can do by flying her ship there. She's got to explore the mine to find Brennan, and that will then be our Idolium mine expedition. And then maybe there's something else. She might have to convince Brennan to talk to her, and she's got to help him get back to Dead Rock. Now, so the way this is going to work is I'm going to do this like a delve and just do a flow chart over in this section of the map. But I just put this here just so we can see kind of generically. We have Dead Rock here, and then somewhere out on the lava fields there's a mine. And the mine is Idolium. So one of the things I've done is kind of worked on what tech we have in the forge. And so I've only got two things right now. We have a multi-scanner, which is like a tricorder from Star Trek, and we have this Idolium, which is a black volcanic rock. I decided, since there's a mine here on Cinder, it's mined from Furnace Worlds, and the ore has to be reduced to powder, not power, and then liquefied to be used as fuel. Whoops. That takes care of kind of what we need to do, and that's our setup. So Krista heads. So I think actually before she goes into the Dead Rock proper, she's going to say, "All right, I'm going to head into the cantina later, but I want to go back to my ship." And she's going to go back to her ship. And I think the first thing she's going to do is she's going to repair her her multi-scanner, because I want to get that thing fixed before I forget. So it might not necessarily be super in character for her to do it right now, but I just want to get it done before I forget, because otherwise I've been forgetting for like multiple episodes. So she's going to repair her device. And the other thing I think is when she goes out, and I've got to try to remember to do this, when she gets to the mine, she's going to take Iris with her, because it's not corrosive here, it's just toxic. You can't breathe it, but it's not going to rust or damage any of her equipment. Right? I mean, she could still get it damaged on a miss, or if we get into combat, but the atmosphere itself isn't going to just automatically damage Iris. So she will take Iris out with her, and she tells Iris, "You're going to be coming out with me soon," and Iris kind of beeps at her happily. Okay, so we're going to repair, and we're rolling plus wits, and we're going to try and repair. So our first move is going to be to repair the multi-tool. Let's see if we can do it. And we get a strong hit with a match. So she completely repairs the multi-tool. The multi-scanner, sorry. It's no longer damaged. And we don't need any extra repair points. And we get an opportunity. So let's see, what opportunity can we create here? Let me think about this. All right, so I think I know what this is. If we remember last session, I said that Krista noticed the magma cyclopes, these dog-sized bipedal, so I guess they're like the size of halflings from D&D, right? They're like 3 feet tall, and they have fur, and they live among the volcanic surface. And I don't know what they eat or anything like that. And I created them right here, magma cyclops. Okay, and I decided they're dangerous. I don't think they're super scary, and I'm not sure if they're hostile or not. There's nothing in the settlement trouble that indicates trouble with the life forms on this particular planet. They're having trouble with raiders. So she noticed them, and I think what she does is, because she noticed them, now that she's got her multi-scanner done, she hooks it into her ship's computer, and she downloads the data that she scanned from the ship of the magma cyclops creatures into her multi-scanner, so it now knows to check for them, and it can detect them. So they won't be able to ambush her, because she programs it to sort of ping an alarm at her if they come into proximity. So that's her opportunity. So they won't be able to like jump her in the mine or anything like that. I think that's a good opportunity to get for repairing the multi-scanner. So she puts the multi-scanner on her belt. She brings her pocket tool with her. She doesn't bring a lot of her other gear. She definitely brings her gun. She hasn't had to use it yet, but she definitely brings her magnetic flux pistol. And she walks back down the gangway and she closes it with a remote control on her multi-scanner, and it locks so that only she can open it with the right combination. And then she's going to head into Dead Rock proper. So she like kind of nods at the dockmaster, and he nods back there and goes back to his typing on his keypad. And she walks through a door that hisses open automatically, like a sort of Star Trek door, right? And then she sees signs up for different things, and she looks for the sign to the entertainment module. The signs, by the way, here are written in two languages. If we look at our reference, uh, Chronoan is the language of the Chronos Titan, of the Exodus Titan Chronos. So this thing carried thousands of people in it, or thousands of people in it for for a couple thousand years. So the signs are written in both languages. She recognizes some of the characters because a few of the labels of the different gear and buttons on the Stormswept, her ship, are in this language. Because remember, it's written in all these different languages of the different Chronos Titans for security. So she kind of recognizes it. She doesn't know how to read Chronoan, but it's also got Forge Common, and she looks for the entertainment module. So she heads to the left, and she goes down that corridor, and she passes one or two people, and they sort of nod at her. And what she sees, because we remember, if we look at the first look here, obvious social stratification, right? So what she sees is, as people are walking, they're wearing these like, the sort of science fiction onesie where they're wearing like, it's all just like a one piece suit with boots and gloves, and they've all got like um, uh, some sort of a small oxygen tank on the back of their belt, and kind of looped over their belt is one of these mouthpieces that you can put like an oxygen mask. I guess just in case there's a leak, just in case they end up going outside into the atmosphere, they can put this over and just at least briefly survive until they get a full environmental suit. And she notices that these onesies have different like patches, kind of like the Star Trek patch, where they have different patches with different symbols. And the people with the really kind of nice, fancy, well-maintained onesies have a symbol of like a star, and the people who are in the kind of worn out, frayed, holes in them, kind of not very nice looking, older, battered up onesies are have like a comet on them. And so she notices immediately that there's basically like, even in this small community that only has maybe 50 or 60 or 70 people in it, there's clearly some kind of a social stratification. And as she passes people, she notices that the people in the nicer uniforms with the star kind of turn up their nose at her, and also at the guys in the more worn out uniforms. And so she immediately sees that there's some kind of a social stratification going on here. There's an upper class and a lower class, kind of the people who run the place, and then kind of the miners and the blue collar people. So she wanders down the hall. She passes a number of basically open doorways that lead like out into external rooms of the ship that have just never been used, and they're just sitting there empty. And then she goes down the hall into a bigger room. The door slides open, and it's labeled Cantina. And so in here, there's a lot of entertainment in here. There are some. There's like a hologram projector that's projecting sort of like a holographic movie. There are screens, and her eye is attracted to that because it's got weave dramas on them, and she's addicted to the weave, like soap operas. And she hasn't had a chance to watch any of these yet. So she's kind of looks over there, and then she says, "No, no, no! I've got to focus on what I'm doing here." And she sees some people mingling, and she goes up to the barkeep, the cantina keeper, the guy who's standing at the bar, wiping it down with, running over it with some kind of a. You can think of sort of like a, almost like a hand vac, but instead of it being a vacuum, it's got some kind of a, like a, well, it looks like a laser beam, and it's just sort of disinfecting the countertop to clean it off. And he puts it away, and he says, what can I get for you?" And she says, "Actually, she says, all right, I'd like I don't know, a forge ale, and I want some information." So he goes and he gets her the drink, and she says, "So what?" He says, and she gives him a tip, and he says, "What kind of information do you need?" And she says, "Well, when I came in, um, I need to find Brennan." And he goes, "Oh, Brennan, yeah, he's our patrol officer." And she said, "Well, I need to find him, and the dockmaster said he's been missing in the Idolium mine for a while, and that he went down there because there's some trouble down there, but the dockmaster didn't know what the trouble is." And um, so here's a question: so is it that the dockmaster doesn't know the trouble because the people in the upper class are keeping the people in the lower class out of the loop? I think not. I think that doesn't make sense because the miners would be the lower class and they would be the ones who saw the trouble. So let's say no to that. He just ignorant, right? So she says, I know there's trouble, but I don't know what it is. Can you help me with it?" So, um, so is this compel or gather information? Persuade? No, I mean she's gathering information, right? I guess. The question is, does this guy even know anything? Um, I think she's trying to charm the guy. Actually think this is a compel because Wits is smart, right? But she's not really using her smarts here. She's trying to convince him to tell her something. Now I don't know if he knows anything. So let me think about this. You know what? I think we're going to secure advantage. I think this is more appropriate. Compel is trying to convince him that to tell you something that he knows, and then he might make a demand. But I don't even know if he knows it, right? And gathering information is her doing her own research. I think this should be secure advantage here, and I think I may have done this wrong in a couple of earlier sessions and used gather information. But that's okay. It's fine. She's using sociability here to try and assess the situation and figure out what's going on in the Idolium mine. So I think here that if we succeed, then he's going to know exactly what it is. If not, he's maybe not going to know exactly what it is. We'll see what happens. So she's going to use roll. We're going to roll plus heart. We have 7 momentum, so that can help us a little bit. She's going to roll heart and be sociable with him. She gave him a tip, and she's talking to him. And she's sort of trying to charm him a little bit. And she's okay. She's got a 3 heart, so she's pretty charming. And she does a little thing where she tucks her hair behind her ear. She knows that sometimes men find that endearing, and maybe he'll think she's attractive. Who knows? And we roll heart, and we get a strong hit with an opportunity. Another match. This thing, I feel like this matches a lot. I wonder if there's something going on with the random number generator here. So we get +2 momentum, and we get +1 on our next move, which is great. So he is going to know what the trouble is in the mine. So now we have to figure out what is the trouble in the mine. So do we want to say, is it just the magma creatures? They would know about the magma. Let's roll, go into the core. Let's roll, let's try descriptor focus this time. I don't know, and see what happens. And we get decaying fortification. Okay, well, this makes sense, right? It collapsed. That the supports in the mine seem to have collapsed, and several miners were trapped in there, and Brennan went to try and rescue them, and they never came back. So the fear is that the mine collapsed on all of them. Now, um, and of course, because it was the lower class people, the comet class people were the ones who were buried under there, and maybe Brennan is even comet class. The star class people don't want to waste resources trying to recover it. In what they want to do is just open another mine shaft a little ways away and try to go at it from another direction, but that's going to take a really long time. So they've actually got some miners. Let's say, let's go ahead and actually put it on the map. Right. So I've got the Adolium mine here, just using the mine symbol from Ironsworn. And what I'm going to do is put another thing like, say, over here, right? And this is, put some text, and this is going to be the new mine shaft. So what the people in the snobs, the stars in Deadrock have decided is we're going to just build another mine shaft here. We're going to just build another mine shaft and go at it from another direction. I guess it wouldn't be that far away. And eventually we'll get in there. We might save the people who are in there. We might not, but at least nobody else gets collapsed on. And the reality is they just don't care about these comet people, right? They only care about other star citizens, right? Not the comet citizens. So, however, I don't know if Brennan's star, maybe he's just a nice one, but he's like, we can't leave them, right? So the bartender, I think, naturally likes Brennan and wants to help Krista because he wants to see this guy saved. He's going out and helping other people of that class, right? The bartender has also got the comet on his shirt. So these blue collar guys stick together, and the white collar guys are kind of not helping, and Krista's talking about helping them, and she's talking about rescuing Brennan, and he was helping the guys who are the blue collar guys. So yeah, the bartender will be much more likely to help. So I think that's what happens. And so he explains all this to her, and he says, "Look, the star class guys, they don't care about us, and they're just digging a new mine shaft because all they want to do is get to the Adolium. They don't care about the miners who were buried, and they don't probably care about Brennan either, even though he's one of them." So Krista says, "Okay, now that I know what it is, I can maybe prepare a little more for it. I don't know that that's going to actually do anything, but at least we know it's not like hostile creatures." Does she have anything in her gear that's good? So, okay, so we know what gear to bring, right? She's going to bring her climbing pack in addition to her multi-scanner, right? She's going to bring her med kit and her personal communicator so that she can communicate back with the station, and obviously her sealed environmental suit. So she's going to bring she knows what to bring with her. She's got to get a pack together, and she's definitely going to put all her stuff in, the pocket tool and stuff in her climbing pack and put it on. She can bring all this now because it's not a corrosive atmosphere, and it won't get damaged by the toxic stuff. It's just not breathable. All right, so we now know what happened, and I think that is some progress, right? Right. The first step is to find out what the trouble in the mine is. And so we're going to go ahead and strike through that and add progress. Right, so we've made 2 progress. And now she says, okay, I'm going to take my ship and head over there. So she goes back out to the dockmaster and she says, please reserve my dock station. I'll be back, but I'm going to head to the Idolium mine. And he says, excuse me? And she says, I'm going to head to the Idolium mine and see if I can find this guy Brennan that you told me about. And he says, well, I don't know if that's a good idea. And she says, well, I don't care whether you think it's a good idea. I'm going to fly over there and try to rescue him. So now, one question is she allowed to do that? Or is he going to say you've got to get permission? What's the community like? I think they're tolerant, aren't they? Yeah, they're a tolerant authority. I guess they'll let her do it. It's weird that they're a tolerant authority and yet highly stratified. But in any case, they're stratified, but they're not. They're kind of loosey goosey about like the basic laws, and so yeah, they're not going to stop her. So he says, "Well, okay, that's up to you. I'll reserve your docking spot." And she goes back onto the storm swept, and she is going to fly it to the Idolium mine and land it there. So we'll move Krista over. And so, well, she's going to try to do it. Let's put her back. She's going to try to do it, but first, she's got to face danger, right? We've got to make sure that she can adequately fly there. And I think that, it's possible that there could be like a meteor storm or something else. So let's go ahead and face danger. And I think um, she's using her expertise here, right? I mean, I don't think she's not doing it quickly or with endurance or deception. So I think it's wits. Or actually, no. What are we going to do? We're going to set a course, right? It's just following a known route. So we're going to set a course. I think that makes the most sense. She knows how to get there. She can see it on the map. It's not that far away. It's just a few miles from Dead Rock because it's the local mine. So she's just going to head there. We're going to set a course. And we're going to roll plus supply. Right. And we get a strong hit if we burn momentum. Otherwise, we get a weak hit. I think I want to keep the momentum. I think we'll lose 2 momentum. Right? We make a -2. Or face a complication when we get there. Oh, let's face a complication when we get there. So we arrive, and we're going to face a complication. So let's look at the complications. In fact, because we are on a planet, I've got a new roll table for this is an infested furnace world, right? So let's roll the trouble of the infested furnace world. And it's infested with these magma cyclops creatures, and it's a furnace world. So let's go ahead and roll that. That's going to be our complication. So she's going to land there, and we do arrive. So let me do multiple things at once here. So we do arrive, and that is the next step. We got to the mine, but she's got to now go inside the mine and do an expedition. And so we have created a second thing of progress, and we're at the Idolium mine. But when we arrive there, we have a complication. So now we're going to look at our roll table here, and we're going to see what complication are we using. We are using the infested peril. So she lands, and she puts on her environmental suit, and she gets her climbing pack and all of her gear, and she goes into the airlock, and she opens the airlock, and she waits for it to cycle, and she lowers the gangplank, and she walks down the gangway, and what do we find? So this is going to be an infested peril. So we go to the oracles, and we go to location themes, because I decided this is an infested furnace world. It's the only one that makes any sense. It's got living things on it. So we're going to click the peril. And what we get is discovery of a live but threatened victim. Is this Brennan? Is one of the magma creatures threatened by something else? And maybe she can help it? Or is it one of the miners? So those are like our 3 options. So I guess let's do this in 2 questions with the oracles here, with Ask the Oracle. The first question is it a human or a magma creature, a magma cyclops? I don't know. 50-50. Is it a human? And that's now working again. No. So that means it is a magma creature. So one of the magma creatures is alive but threatened. So this is maybe an opportunity for her to help one of the magma creatures. I don't know. I don't think they're actually like sentient. I don't know. Maybe they're like Ewoks. Actually, maybe they are like Ewoks, except with one eye. So, so the so she finds a magma cyclops, but he's threatened by something. So what's he threatened by? Let's roll action and theme and see what he's threatened by. Risk language. Well, that doesn't make sense. Risk language. Well, risking makes sense, but language, I don't know. Let me think about that. All right, so I have an idea. Let's ask the Oracle about it, but I think this is a cool idea. So, could it be that one of these magma creatures has also been caught in some part of the cave-in right here at the entrance? Maybe it came to investigate, and part of this collapsed on it, right? And so now it's partially buried, it's hurt, and it sees her walk out of the ship, and it starts trying to communicate with her in this bizarre language. I'm not even going to roll for it. I think this is perfect. And I guess it's asking for help, right? And so she has this creature here, and it's kind of begging her for help. And she has to decide whether to help it or not. Well, I think she's curious and loyal. I think she would. So Krista sees this small Ewok-like one-eyed Ewok creature, this hairy, single-eyed creature, at the entrance of the mine. There was a big giant cave that had been shored up by beams, metal beams, probably scavenged from the Exodus ship itself. And these have been melted by some magma that I guess spewed out from a nearby volcano and landed on it, and it destroyed the structure, and part of it collapsed. So that you can get inside, but you got to crawl through the rocks and everything. And some of it fell on this creature, and so it's now like its legs are trapped, and it's kind of motioning to her and talking and trying to get, it's giving her some kind of garbled communication, trying to ask for her help. So Krista is going to go over to it, and she's going to pull out her multi-scanner and kind of scan the structure of the area, like the masses of the rocks and stuff on it, and she's looking to see it. Can I get it out of here? And I hate to say it, but I think this is so. First, so she's using her scanner. Let's secure advantage. I think that this makes sense. She's going to use her scanner to see if she can figure out where the stresses are and where the weights are resting, so that she can maybe move stuff out of the way without bringing it all down on herself and this creature. So let's secure an advantage. And she's using her brains to do this. And we get another matched hit. There are way too many I feel like there are way too many matches here. Another opportunity. And I think the opportunity is yes. She sees exactly which rocks she can move to make space for this thing without bringing anything more down. And by looking at that, she also sees a way to go through the holes that still exist, the gaps, into the mine, and at least immediately past this first crumbled entrance area, she sees there's room for her to stand and everything. So she sees a way to safely do this. So now she's going to try and so she says, okay, and she tries to communicate, but it's going through the speaker on her helmet of her environmental suit. So her voice is crackling a little bit. Maybe the thing understands her, maybe it doesn't. It can't see her facial expressions because all she's got is like her eyes visible, and then the mouth part has, the respirator over it. So it can't see her mouth, like see if she's smiling, or even who knows if it would even understand that. It has one eye, she has two. Who knows if it understands that either. And she goes, all right, I'm going to try to help you. And I think this is facing danger. And so is she using agility or strength? I think she's got to use strength to move the rocks away, right? And try and pull this thing out. Come on. And it like sees what she's doing. And when she reaches for it, it grabs onto her and she pulls and it tries to wiggle and it's going to try to help. And Iris, meanwhile, let's not forget Iris, has sort of hovered down the gangplank and is sort of watching this. But Iris can't really help her with this. So she's going to face danger plus iron. I'm willing to do this with no, like I'm not going to try to chalk myself into edge or whatever. It's either she'll succeed or fail, but we've got 10 momentum, so we got a pretty good chance at this. So we're going to roll iron. And we get a strong hit. She's successful, and we even would get more momentum, but we can't. And so she pulls this thing out and kind of sets it on its feet, and it kind of staggers, and it's hurt, right? So it kind of sits back down, and she says, "It's okay, it's okay. You'll be all right." And it's very grateful to her. So it starts babbling at her, and it's like very, very grateful. So so should she try to heal it? Is that going to work? Can she do it with provide treatment? To provide care is plus wits. I think so. I think she's going to take out her med pack and try to help it. And I think what the hits and misses on this mean is that if we get a strong hit, she helps it and it's grateful. If we get a miss, it's just going to think she's trying to hurt it and it's going to try to just run away. So let's go ahead and roll heal. And we're rolling wits, right? We're not doing the lowest, right? Oh, okay. We're not wanting our own. We're just providing care, right? So that's this. And we get a weak hit. Okay. So it's helpful, but the recovery costs something. So yeah, I think it makes sense. It costs her time. So it takes her a while. She gets out the med kit. The thing backs away, and she says, "No, no, no, look." And she shows it like she's got some bandages that she puts around where it's been cut, and she applies the little like the sonic healer to heal up its bruises and stuff. And she's even able to mend. The scanner shows her that it's got a fracture, and she's able to mend the fracture. And so this heals it up. And she uses, you can imagine the little Star Trek types of tools that you have from her med kit, and this heals it up, and but it takes her a while, and so it slows her down. And this thing is now super grateful to her, and she has helped it. So I think once she helps it, I think it's going to just go away. However, I think we're going to try to remember this in future sessions. Hopefully, I'll remember it. That she's helped one of these creatures. And I'm going to make the note actually on the creature thing. She's helped one of these magma cyclopes. And so I'm just going to make this note here. Krista helped one in a mine cave-in, right? On Cinder. And so I think that if we get into a spot inside the mine where like an unforeseen help comes with a strong hit on a match or something, maybe this guy will have brought back some of his friends and they'll come help her, right? Because it now knows that she was nice to it. We'll see. So she's completed that. That didn't really have anything to do with our quest. And now she's going to, quote unquote, delve the depths. So this is our Idolium mine expedition. So we're going to start at the entrance of the mine. And let's draw that out, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so we're at the mine entrance, and we're ready to go in. But I've just realized we're at 40 minutes. So I think we're going to stop here. Cliffhanger! And we're going to head down into the mine. So Krista is going to... Her first undertaking journey will be to get through the rocks and into the first section. Right, and then from there she's going to have to delve the depths, or whatever you want to call it, undertake expedition until she finds Brennan and potentially the other miners if they're still alive. I do want to mention a couple of things. In one of the earlier sessions, I did a begin session, and I never did an end session because I forgot all about it. And really, guys, this doesn't seem to be worth it to me. End a session. When you end a session, reflect on the events and identify any missed opportunities to mark progress. I do that when I rewatch my videos and I fix up my notes and I tell you where my mistakes were. And beginning a session, we don't have to set flags because I'm playing solo, is reviewing what happened last session. I always do that with you guys anyway. And setting the scene. I always do that with you guys anyway. So I'm not going to, like, quote unquote, make these moves. I feel like they might be worthwhile if I were playing by myself and not shooting video meant for others to watch. But because at the beginning of a session, I always recap for the viewer and set the scene. And because after the session's over, I always watch it and make outlines, right, so that I can review for you. I'm going to be rewatching this and making this outline. The fact that I do this outline means I don't really need to do any of these session moves. You might want to do it in your own game of Starforged, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm not going to probably do it anymore here. The one thing we might possibly do is occasionally do a flashback, the way I did with Zephyr, but I don't feel like I need a move to do that. I can just do it. All right, so anyway, that's where we're going to leave this. I hope you guys have enjoyed this playthrough today, and we'll come back for the next one. And until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this is Starforged Alpha Cluster.